Welcome back to the Cozy English Podcast. I'm Melody.
And I'm Avery. It's so great to be here with you all today. How are you doing, Melody?
I'm doing great, thanks. Feeling pretty energetic this morning, which brings me to a question for you, Avery. Are you a morning person?
Ooh, starting with the big questions. Honestly, I am. I love the quiet of the early morning. I feel like I get my best thinking done before the rest of the world wakes up. What about you?
I try to be. I'm not a jump out of bed type of person, but I do love a slow, peaceful morning with a cup of coffee. So, what time do you usually start your day?
I usually wake up around 6:30. It gives me enough time to get everything done without rushing.
That's a good time. It's a perfect lead-in to our topic today. We're going to be talking all about daily routines and work.
Exactly. This is such a common topic of conversation in English. People often ask, "What do you do?" or "How was your day?" So, for all our listeners out there, a question for you. Can you describe your typical day in English?
By the end of this episode, you'll be able to answer that question with confidence. So let's get started with a vocabulary warm-up.
All right, let's cover some essential phrases for talking about your day. The first one is probably the first thing you do every day: wake up.
Right. Wake up is when your eyes open and you are no longer sleeping. For example, I usually wake up at 7 a.m.
And after you wake up, you get up. Get up means to get out of your bed. Sometimes I wake up at 6, but I don't get up until 6:15.
I do that too. Just a little time to think before starting the day. After you get up, you get ready. This is a great phrase that covers a lot of things.
It does. To get ready can mean you take a shower, brush your teeth, get dressed, do your hair, all of those morning activities. You can just say, in the morning, I get ready for work.
Exactly. And after you get ready, you might go to work or go to school. This is about traveling to your workplace or your university. I go to work by bus, or she goes to school with her friends.
Then you start work or start your classes. It's simple. For me, I start work at 9 a.m.
And hopefully, at the end of the day, you finish work. For example, I usually finish work around 5 p.m.
Let's talk about some things you do during the workday. A very important one is to take a break.
Yes, to take a break means to stop working for a short time. I like to take a break for lunch at noon, or it's important to take a short break every hour.
Another common activity is to have meetings. The word meeting is a noun, so we use the verb have. I have 3 meetings today.
Right. You wouldn't say I do a meeting, you'd say I have a meeting. And a final one that I think everyone does, check emails.
Oh, definitely. I check my emails in the morning, or he checks his emails a few times a day. So those are some great basic phrases to get us started.
They are. So now let's use them in a more natural conversation. Avery, why don't you start? What does your typical morning look like?
Sure. So, as I said, I usually wake up at 6:30 a.m. without an alarm most days.
Wow, that's impressive.
Well, I try. First, I get up and drink a big glass of water. Then, and this is very important, I make coffee. I can't really do anything before I have my coffee.
I feel that. Coffee is the most important step. So what happens after coffee?
After that, I usually do some exercise. Just something light, maybe 20 minutes of stretching or a quick walk outside if the weather's nice. It helps me feel awake.
That's a great habit. I always tell myself I should exercise in the morning, but I usually just drink more coffee and read the news on my phone instead.
Hey, that's a perfectly good routine too. It's all about what works for you. So after my exercise, I take a shower and get ready for the day. Finally, I'll sit down and check my emails for about 15 minutes before I officially start work. So what about your routine, Melody?
Mine is a bit slower. I wake up around 7:30. First, I press snooze on my alarm at least twice.
Very relatable.
Then I get up, and the first thing I do is open the curtains to let some light in. After that, I go straight to the kitchen to make my coffee. While the coffee is brewing, I'll prepare a simple breakfast, usually yogurt with fruit or some toast.
See, I often skip breakfast. I know it's not the best habit.
For me, it's essential. I can't function without it. So I eat my breakfast and I try not to look at my phone. Instead, I read a book or just sit and think about the day ahead.
That sounds so peaceful.
It really is. After I finish eating, then I'll finally get ready for work. I take a shower, get dressed, and then I'm at my desk ready to go around 9 o'clock.
It's so interesting how different our mornings are, but we both end up starting work around the same time.
It is. And that brings us to the next part of our day, work.
Right, so this is where we answer the big question. What do you do? Melody, what do you do?
I'm a graphic designer. I work for a small marketing company. It's really fun and creative.
That sounds interesting. So can you describe what you usually do in your job? What are your main responsibilities?
Sure. On a typical day, I work on a few different projects. For example, I design logos for new companies or create advertisements for social media.
Okay, so it's very visual work.
Exactly. I use special software on my computer to create the designs. I also talk to clients a lot. I have meetings with them to understand what they want. And of course, I check my emails constantly.
I work as a writer. I write articles and content for websites. My job is very flexible because I work from home.
That's a great perk. So what does a typical workday look like for a writer?
Well, in the morning, I usually plan my day and do research for my articles. Then in the afternoon, I do most of my writing. I need a quiet environment to focus, so working from home is perfect for me. I take a break every hour to walk around a bit.
That's a good idea. And of course, for our listeners who are students, your routine might be a little different.
That's a great point. If someone asks, what do? You can say, I'm a student. Then you can say what you study. For example, I study business, or I'm studying to be an engineer.
And your daily tasks are different. You might say, I have classes in the morning, or I usually study in the library in the afternoon, or I have to write a lot of essays.
Exactly. So whether you work or study, you can use these same simple structures to describe your day. The most important verb we are using here is the present simple. We say, I work, I study, I have classes, because we are talking about a routine, something that is generally true.
Okay, I think it's time for some practice. We've talked a lot, and now it's your turn, our wonderful listeners. We're going to ask you some questions, and we'll leave a pause for you to answer out loud. Don't be shy. Practice is the best way to improve.
Ready? Okay, question 1. Describe your morning routine. What do you do first?
Great job. Maybe you said, first I wake up and check my phone, or first I make a cup of tea. Whatever your routine is, that was a great start.
Okay, next question. What time do you usually start work or school?
Excellent. You could say, I usually start work at 8:30, or my classes start at 10 a.m.
All right, last practice question. What do you usually do at work or at school? Tell us one or two of your typical tasks.
Fantastic. Perhaps you said, at work, I send a lot of emails, or at school, I listen to my professors and take notes.
That was so great. The more you practice speaking, even by yourself, the more comfortable you will become.
We are just about out of time for today. Let's do a quick recap of the most useful phrases from this episode.
Good idea. To talk about your habits, you can start your sentence with I usually. For example, I usually wake up early, or I usually take the train to work.
Another great way to describe your day is with the phrase, my typical day starts with. For example, my typical day starts with a hot cup of coffee.
And when you talk about your job or your studies, you can say at work I or at school I. For example, at work I have a lot of meetings.
We would love to hear about your daily routines. Go to the comments section and write a few sentences about your typical day. We read every single one.
Yes, please do. And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with a friend who is also learning English.
It helps us a lot. Thank you so much for joining us on the Cozy English Podcast.
Until next time, take care and keep practicing.